Databases. This is the first video on databases. Now, databases are actually the mainstay of data storage for the internet. Any place you go and you access data or you put information in, it probably goes in a database. Or when you are searching something, you're generally searching a database. You're not searching across the internet. So it's important for you to understand exactly how databases work. And we're going to be using Access to get a basic idea of how they work, and then later on we'll take a look at some others when we do HTML coding, or if you stay with me next year, PHP coding, and we'll look at other databases and other types. Access is a simple one to use. It's a single file that can be backed up easily. It's done by Microsoft, and it has a lot of features in it that are going to help us. Let's start out right away by starting a brand new project so you can see how to do that. I'm going to go down, find Microsoft Access, which I don't think I see it here. Actually, it's up here, but I want to show you it's in the Programs menu. And to do that, you have to find Windows. Let's see, is it Microsoft Vision? It's Windows. Office for Windows. Windows Office. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I know it's here someplace. Down here someplace. Microsoft Office is what it's called. Here it is, right here. Microsoft Office. You click on that. It opens up and you see all the Office software. We're going to use Access. Comes up with a starting screen like this. We're going to probably use a blank database. So that's this one right up here. And we're going to create it on our own. So I'm going to say blank database, and then we get to decide what type it is eventually. I'm going to look and store it in a different location. Let's see, I'm going to store it right here locally temporarily. And there, that popped up. Documents. I don't know. Well, let's go ahead and store it on the P drive, shall we? Which in my case is a Q drive. You'll have to ignore that fact that on my computers I call the P drive Q drive because I got P mapped to something else. And in fundamentals, and then in databases, and we're going to store this just right here. All right. Now, types of databases. This is the new format. It's the 2007 format, and the 2010 format is very compatible with that. However, a lot of times it's handy to make it in one of these older formats if you're using some older software with it. Like when I program something for the web, a lot of times I'll go back to this format, MDB, because they have the drivers there, and some of the places don't have the new drivers. So sometimes it's better to use an older format. For now, let's just use the new format. And so I just say OK, and that puts that here. Now, the name of my database. Let's see. I've got to say, let's call it. We're going to call this Addresses. Okay, Addresses is the name of the database. And remember, this is just the practice one that I'm giving you. So I'm going to create it. There we go. Now it immediately comes up with a table. A database is made up of tables, and these tables can be linked together for different reasons, and I will show you some of these linkings later on. But a table has rows and columns just like a spreadsheet. From tables we can create queries. Queries are basically, they come out and they look like tables when they're finished, and you can think of them like tables, but in reality they don't take up any space, they don't repeat data, and they're good because you can pull out just the things you want out of the table to make a query. From queries in Access, we get to forms and reports, and those are the two output methods we're going to use. Forms are used for output on the screen and also to enter data in on the screen. Reports would be for output on paper. So we'll go through these four areas in the next 4 videos, one at a time. Well, maybe 2 on one of them, but we'll find out how to use these things. All right, so the first thing I'd like to do, we need to go in and set up fields. Now, you can set fields this way by typing data, and you can add a new field name and so on and so forth. But, I'm going to change the view. And before I change the view, I'm going to change the name of this table. So I'm going to go rename. Where's rename? Right there. Okay, give it a second. It's working. It says you can't rename object 1 while it's open. All right, so I got to close this. So right click, close, and I've just lost all the tables. Not going to let me do anything I want to do, is it? Okay, so let's see. Let's go create table like this. And there it is again, table 1. So I guess what I'll have to do is name it when I store it. So let's go to view. You see this looks like an architect's thing with the pencil and the triangle and the ruler. That's sort of your design area. And so you've got design view and you've got data sheet view. Right now we're in data sheet view, and I want to go to design view. And this is a little toggle button. I can jump between them easily. So for table 1, and at this point it's asking me I have to save it. So now I get to actually name it. So I'm going to call this table my, and it's a good idea in databases not to put spaces in names. You can put them in names. It allows it, but later on when you try and manipulate them in macros or anything, it gives you problems. You have to put quotes around them. You have to do extra stuff. So when I'm naming things, I don't put spaces in the name. My addresses. Yes, come on, try and spell it right. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to say OK. So now what it's done, rename my table my addresses. It's asking me for the name of the field. In a database, you always want to have in every table an organizing field, and it's usually best to make it the first field. So if you don't want to worry about that field, if you have no reason to care about the way things are organized in the table because you'll sort them later in reports, you can just create a field, and it automatically does for you. It creates an ID field, and it makes it auto number. So it automatically numbers it for you. You don't ever have to worry about it. That's standardly the way to do things. That makes life easy. If, however, you have specific employee numbers, then those are your keys, as we call them. If you notice, that little field has a little key sitting out here in this thing. You see that key right above my arrow there? That indicates this is a key field. You can have more than one field as your key into a database. If you think databases are all over the place, government has databases on you, you're in several databases right now. You're in a database in the district, believe it or not. That's where your grades are kept, is in a database for TUSD. That's where the information about you in TUSD is kept. And what do you think the key is? Well, the key would be the matric number. The key must be unique for every single person. So they can't use names because there's a lot of people in the district named John Smith. And there's a lot of people in the district named Jose Martinez. You know, we can't have names. One time in class I had 2 Albert Torres. And they both had the same middle name, which made it really difficult to distinguish. So you couldn't put them on a database and use names of the database. That's why they dream up numbers. The government, Social Security number. The reason you have a Social Security number is for the sake of databases. That's the only reason you have a Social Security number. Otherwise, they do it with names. No need to have a number if you don't need one. But databases, Social Security numbers are unique for each person, and therefore they put them in. Matric numbers are for the same reason. So whenever you get numbered by something, it's probably because things are being stored in a database. Banks, you have account numbers. Bingo, database. Those are the keys. And that's what they're used for. So this ID field is very important. Some cases it's used and you fill it in. Other cases like this, we don't care. We're just going to let the computer fill it in for us. All right, so things we need. Let's do first name. And I'm going to do FIRSTNAME. Notice I did not put a single space in there. Okay, first name. It's going to be a text field. Notice when I make a field, I've got a lot of choices here. Text is for just a little bit of text, less than 255 characters. Memo is for tons of text, 3,000 some characters. Numbers are for numbers, integers, etc. Time, date, currency. Auto number is what we're using up above. Yes, no, that's like true, false, and you can have true, false, yes, no, or a number of combinations. Object fields be like pictures if you want to store pictures in here. Hyperlinks if you want to store links to someplace else. Attachments, you could do that. And then the lookup wizard or lookup fields, and you see a tab down below. Okay, we're going to have text because we want this to be text. Now, I come down here. The size of my field right now is 255. That's too much for a first name. Probably the biggest first name is going to be like 15. Let's make it 20 characters. So I'm going to make it 20 characters large. Let's go to last name. Last name, again, is text. And if I come down here, I may make it, I don't know, there's some long last hyphenated names. Let's make it 30 characters, okay? All right. Now after name, address would be nice. Okay. That also is going to be text. Maybe make it 50. I'm choosing these numbers because in my experience in the past, this is probably enough to take care of it. It doesn't hurt to have it too big. You're just wasting a little space in the database if it's too big, but it's better than not having enough. Okay, so address, well, what's the next thing's in address? It's city. City, text, and that would be, oh, let's make that 20. 25 sounds good, huh? Okay. State. How big should the state be? Well, you think about it for a second, you'll realize the post office likes you to have 2-letter state names. So actually 2 is all the bigger you need to make that. Don't put periods. You're not supposed to put periods. So 2 capital letters will be state. Okay. City, state, zip. Now, how big is zip? Yeah, 5 characters. Is zip a number? Excuse me. Is zip a number? No, zip is not a number. It can have a hyphen in it. The only thing you code as numbers are things you're actually going to do arithmetic with. Like the auto number up above. We code it that way because we're going to add 1 each time as we go down the list. It's going to change for each person. But zip code, we're not adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. So it is not truly a number. It is really text. Because actually, if you use the full zip, you have a hyphen in there. So think. The full zip code is 5 digits. And then they've got an extra 4. So that'd be 9 digits. But don't forget the hyphen. So that would be basically 10 digits. So I'm going to just make it 10. Okay? All right, so that's the zip. City, state, zip. Let's put a phone in there. Is a phone number. Is that a number? Nope. Again, text. Let's think about that. We got 3. And then we got another 3. It comes out to be 6. And then we got 4. That's 10. Do you want to include the 2 parentheses? That's 11, 12. And how about the hyphen? That's 13. Some people put a space between the zip code and the first part of it. That's 14. We might as well make it 15. So I'm going to put 15 in here just for the sake of it. Okay. That may be a little too big, but that's okay. Some people like to put the 1 in too, but we don't need the 1 in this case. All right. City, state, phone, zip. Let's put, I'm going to put one more thing, birth date, or let's go D-O-B, date of birth, and we're going to make that time date. Okay, date time as they call it. And then the last thing I want to do is loan, just for the sake of getting some dollars and cents in here. We're going to make that currency. All right. So there's our table. We've laid out the fields we want. We can add fields later. So I'm going to save it. I come up here. I can right-click. There's several ways to save. You can right-click here. You can go up to this little disk and save. And so I've got it saved now. Let's see. I have it saved. Click. Save one more time. Right-click there. It's saved. I think what I'm going to do is go to the datasheet view and see what I've got here. All right. There's the datasheet view. Now, I just fill this in. All right. I'm just going to go from field to field and fill it in. First name. Let's do Tom. Tom Jones. Okay, that's one way. Address 123 EASYSTREET. Street, Easy Street. Now you notice it didn't fill it, but it's still under the amount. All right, city. Let's say Tucson. AZ, both capital. Okay. Oh, 85712. And I won't put the others. You don't have to put all of it in, even though we left space for it. Phone, I'm not going to put the area code either. I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Date of birth. Now, on date of birth, look, we got a little calendar popping up. Isn't that convenient? Okay, let's see if I can type date of birth. Sometimes the formatting here is difficult. But let's just see if I can type date of birth. I'm going to type, let's say he was born in February, and I'm going to put a hyphen. February, 21st, hyphen again, of 1985, let's say. Okay, now if I tab over, will it let me do this? Yes, and it puts slashes in because it preferred the slashes. And I'll show you where that happens later. Okay, loan. I'm going to say I loaned this guy $5. All right? Tab, and now we're down to the next thing. Notice it put $sign because we formatted it as currency. I'm going to pause and add a few more quickly here, and then I will come back. Okay, as you can see, I've added 4 people to this. Notice I have a number of things here that are the same, like Arizona, Tucson. Gosh, these items are identically the same. And if you have something that you're going to be mostly one thing, then probably you should put some different types of, shall we say, default values in there, so it'll come up automatically. I'm going to show you how that works. Let's go and save this just to make sure. Now, you really don't have to save it because when you go from one line to the next on a database, it automatically saves for you. So, here goes. I'm going to start out by simply setting up this database to go in and put automatically put in the city of Tucson and the state of Arizona. And it'll be set up so it'll change. So I have to go back into my design view to do that. And I have to come to my city. And down here in city, you see something called default value. So I'm just going to type Tucson in there. And that saves me from typing that, you see. C-T-U-C-S-O-N. And if I go to the next one, it puts some quotes around it. Now let's go to state and put AZ in there automatically. Let's see, default value is right here. AZ, both capital, and you see it put some quotes in there. Okay, good. Let's save that. Now you see you have to save the changes to the database, but to save the data is saved for you. So we're going to go back into view now. Look, on the blank line down here, I automatically have that in. So from now on, that will be added automatically. If I choose to go and change it, I can go while I'm typing data and highlight this and type and change it. No problems. So that's a convenience. Another convenience that might be useful, if we go back into design and look, is we might want to put on this currency or on the phone number. Let's look at the phone number first. We might want to put what's called an input mask. And if we go here and go to build input masks, it comes up with a lot of possibilities. Here's an input mask for a social security number. Here's a zip code input mask. And these are all pre-made for you. A long time input mask. Let's see. The top one is a phone number input mask. And there's different ones. And you can try typing in it. And it will let you type in different styles. Okay. So that's the mask wizard. You can edit that list and put in your own types if you want to. They've got dates, they've got time, they've got all sorts of masks that you can use. Okay, so I'm not going to do that right now, but that's a possibility. It put one in for me anyway. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, and so I'm not going to do that right now, and that way we won't have to worry about it. Sometimes it gives you trouble if you don't type the whole thing, so it's hard sometimes to use math, but in most circumstances they can help you enter data. Okay, I've shown you the basic table setup. I've shown you how to do a default. Here's what I'd like you to do. Okay, let's go back into this area here. Yeah. And what I would like you to do is in here, in the databases, I want you to go to Friends and Organization. And I've already got a database started for you, although if you want to, you can start from scratch. But I've got an extra table in there, which we're going to add some organizations to later. And so basically, you need to type up and put in pretty much the same things I put in. You don't need to necessarily put this in, but I want basically the same fields that I put in. And later we'll add an organization field which will make use of this stuff and the table I already have in there. So you're going to be starting a table from scratch, not necessarily a database from scratch, but a table from scratch, and you're going to be adding to this database. Okay? So that's your first assignment in databases.